And we are live. So hello, welcome to another episode of Loose Canon. Sorry that we're a little bit late this morning. Uh, for anyone watching, Discord apparently has updated their I don't know, their camera settings, and it allowed me to. This isn't why we're late. I had this for a while now, but it allowed me to be in eternity, and I thought it would be funny to be in eternity for this episode. Um,
You were gifted your own pocket universe.
yeah, I was gifted my own pocket universe to do a podcast from. That was I was one of the guardians who changed their design. You know, the hourglass with infinite time, the blade with a purpose anew, the dredgen, and then I was hoping that I could think of something funny for myself when I got there, but I kind of dropped the ball. The procrastinator.
uh, the pig of infinity.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'll change my name to that.
Pigs in space.
All right, but so this week we're going to be talking about the nine. Obviously, I'm here,
Never heard of them.
because because in less than less than 2 weeks, more than 1 week though, 9 days. In 9 days,
Ha, 9 days.
yeah. Oh my God, that is actually oddly perfect. In 9 days, we will be getting the 30th anniversary update, which heavily seems to be about the nine. And so we kind of wanted to talk about them. And the nine have so many like loose ends that there's so many possibilities to see where they can go with it.
Sure.
And there's like hours of talking to be done about the many loose ends that they have. And so we're going to try to get through some of them. What I thought is like a good general understanding of the nine. But so before we get to that, we have a lore card this week from the Destiny Armory Defined.
That's right. So I did an old one. Not Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, we just kind of chilled. But the week before, I did one, which it's an old one, but I thought it was kind of cool because some recent things have happened, not just, in lore, but in media. If you watch TV shows on, like Netflix and Hulu and all that stuff, it's come up, which I thought was kind of neat. But it's from Destiny 1. I think this was the yeah, it was the Siva expansion. What's it called?
Rise of Iron.
Rise of Iron. Thank you. I do that all the time. Um, so in Rise of Iron, we got a gun, and it was from the Vanguard.
Mhm.
And at the time when the Vanguard had their rotating weapons with each, expansion, um, they had like themed weapons, right? And if you were ever lucky enough to kind of catch on to what they were talking about, it was neat because it had foreshadowing, or it had some sort of like a little bit of a layer of story with what was happening in current events. Hashtag Destiny at the
Mhm.
time. So this one was Antons Rule, and it was the most like not in your face. What does this mean? Weapon. In fact, I remember way back when even Bife was tripped up, was like, who is Anton? Is he some, wolf character that we don't know about, or Iron Lord or something? And it was a good one because I didn't know what it meant at first either. And so it made me look it up. And of course I defined it a long time ago, but when I looked it up, I was like, aha, there it is. But it took a while. So Anton's Rule, the flavor text is don't include it unless you intend to use it, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so what the heck does that mean? So there's this guy, and his name is Anton Chekhov, and he is a highly esteemed Russian playwright and short story writer. Chekhov's gun is it means remove everything that has no relevance to the story. So the rule is, and this is his quote: if in the first act you have hung a pistol on the wall, then in the following one it should be fired. Otherwise, don't put it in there.
Mhm.
So it's a nice little play on that rule in storytelling. If you talk about something, you better use it later on, because otherwise you're putting in stuff that's completely unnecessary, right?
It's funny. I knew this was the lore card this week, but I didn't do my little intro bit thinking about this. Sorry, something just started making noise.
It's the 9.
Yeah, that's really loud. I don't know if that's being picked up. I hope it isn't. But so,
I don't hear it.
okay, that's good. That threw me off. How I said the 9 have so many loose threads, and now don't include it unless you intend to use it. So hopefully a good number of them, like, they don't need to be like tied up, but like go down that path.
Yeah, we need some story meat.
Yeah. So
So
sorry.
so Chekhov's gun is how it's like widely, distributed as far as, like for writers. It's one of those rules, or storytellers. It's one of those rules that you have to abide by in order to make your stuff good. I mean, you don't have to use the rule if you don't want to, but if you want a good story, you better kind of use it. So anyway, Chekhov's gun, it means remove everything that has no relevance to the story. If you say there's a gun, use it, right? So that's the gist. Anton Chekhov, the highly esteemed Russian playwright and short story writer, is among the greatest writers of short fiction in history. I didn't know this guy, but I looked him up, and this guy has tons. I mean, catalog of just awesome stuff. So if you ever want to look up, he's Russian, so it's. But a lot of his stories, I didn't know this, have been Americanized. America has a lot of stories that are basically ripoffs of his, and we even have some popular plays that are directly influenced by him. So anyway, Antons Rule is a dramatic principle, and every memorable element in a fictional story must be necessary and irreplaceable, and any that are not should be removed. So basically, he's saying just don't put it in there if you don't intend to use it, right? So Chekhov's gun is a dramatic principle that stresses the importance of laying important details early in a story and how they will later contribute to the overall narrative. This rule is taught so that writers will avoid making false promises in their narrative by including spur-of-the-moment details that will not ultimately pay off in the last act, chapter, or conclusion. Chekhov's gun has become a highly influential theory of effective writing. The rule ensures noticeable details are utilized within the plot trajectory, character development, and overall mood of the work. The term Chekhov's gun emerged from the way Chekhov repeatedly characterized writing in letters to his contemporaries. And so this was his quote. This is one of the many quotes. And he always says the same thing to pretty much everybody he ever talked to. But this is it. If in the first act you have hung a pistol on the wall, then in the following one, it should be fired. Otherwise, don't put it in there. And then his other most famous quote was basically the same thing. Remove everything that has no relevance to the story. If you say in the first chapter that there is a rifle hanging on the wall, in the second or third chapter, it absolutely must go off. If it's not going to be fired, it shouldn't be hanging there. So, what's cool about this is if you watch the show, and this last season wasn't that great. I just, that's my own opinion. But this came up, and they never talked about it like in detail to what they were saying. But he mentions Chekhov's gun, quite a lot throughout the whole thing. But it's a neat little callback. And why I thought it was relevant in Destiny is because we're about to celebrate the 50th anniversary, or
30th.
all of it. I'm sorry, 30th anniversary. Golly,
of Bungie.
Of Bungie.
Destiny.
Sorry. We're about to celebrate, the 50 or the 30. I keep saying 50th.
Why
30th anniversary of Bungie. But if you think about Bungie's back catalog of games, all the way back to Gnop, which is a Pong ripoff backwards. And
I
if
didn't
you
know about
think
that
all the
one.
way, yeah, you didn't know about that. That was their very
No.
first game they ever made. If you go all the way back to their entire catalog of games, they have tons of stories, and none of them were 100% fleshed out. Let's just put it that way.
Mhm.
And so, what's great about that is that anytime they can pull from all of those back catalogs of games and incorporate them into Destiny, which is kind of this culmination of all the years that they've spent in the gaming, world. And so, we're getting marathon themed armor, and how does that fit into the world of Destiny? Who knows? But it's there. So uh,
They
there are there are tons of things that they have, um, that they can just play around with.
they really shot themselves in the foot with the future war cult happenings in season of the Splicer, because any of their universes could have been like explained by the future war cult. It's like, oh, this is
Yeah.
from this place or this is from that place, and um now we don't have that luxury. We just have to be like, why is this here and how is it connected? Where they had that previously, they had that convenient excuse of like, this is from another universe where things went different. And sure, in this parallel universe there is still the light and the dark, but humanity hadn't discovered it. It was humanity advanced without the light and the dark. So the nine are still there in Marathon, in theory, right? The nine are
True.
still there in Marathon. They just exist without any way to, as we'll talk about here. I think it's actually in the first bit. As we'll talk about here, they're kind of stuck being what they are, and it was the introduction of the traveler that gave them a uh kind of hope to break free from it. I just noticed all these buttons are still here. They usually aren't.
I don't see any buttons.
Well, I mean, I see it on the stream.
Huh.
I'm
Weird.
sorry. It's hard for me to stay focused on what I'm talking about. Um, So yeah, do you want to get into the nine stuff now?
Yeah, no, that's a perfect setup because if you think about the all-encompassing nature of Destiny lore, um, we definitely have some Chekhov's guns that need to be fired off
Hmm.
here coming up soon. So, uh, I mean, why don't you just say why is the nine important right now? Why have we heard about them for so long, and all of a sudden they're relevant?
Uh, damn. Okay, so this didn't work out as nicely as I was hoping it would. Um, I took screenshots, or I put screenshots in the Google Docs, and I thought I could open them from the Google Doc seamlessly, but I couldn't. So from the book Dust, which is one of the books that covers the nine, late into the book is the entry Declaration.
Yeah, declaration. I think.
And declaration is a great the declaration, and the declaration is a great entry because it is the only entry, I think there might be like one or two more, the only entry that has, and it's on screen now, that has what I call the nine syntax. So you see these three paragraphs, and each paragraph has one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine lines. One, two, three, four, six, and nine lines. One, two, three, four, nine lines. And each one has their own syntax of speaking because each nine is their own sentience. And to differentiate that, we see them in text most of the time. We don't actually hear them because when they speak, it's not in like a language that we can even understand. So when we get it in text, it's kind of like breaking the rules. It's like you don't understand it, but you understand it, so you get to have both. You get to hear the gibberish, but like in your soul, you know what it means.
Yeah, yeah. They're
And
all around you.
yeah, and so you can see them here, and I have to go back to my doc. It's not going to look as nice. So the syntax is capital with a punctuation, all lowercase, all capital with punctuation, all capital with each letter being spaced, uh, capital minus So like halfway through your text will be the minus symbol, halfway through your text will be the plus symbol, halfway through your text will be the equal symbol, and halfway through your text will be this like bracket line symbol.
Yeah,
Um, so these
that
are the
bracket line.
nine. These are the nine, and what we've learned recently. I mean, I guess it's not actually even recently anymore. It's like 2, 3 years old now. So what we've learned in the past is that the nine are splintered. And so basically what you have is you have this group of five who are the upper speaking. These are the five that you see all the time talking. And then you have this group of four who you don't see like ever. So it's like very easy to find these five syntaxes and understand that these are five. It's the latter four who are separate. And so, as I said, um, they existed before the Traveler was here because the universe was made with light and dark. That with or without the Traveler present in our galaxy, the light and the dark is there. It is always there. And the nine have been here as long as there has been life within our solar system. And so it says, you want our source, our primal cause. We are the shadows of your world's mast. Old dark dust, ever gravity flowing. Intelligence is whirled round each world's core. 9 hourglass pinches in galactic wind. That's always the hardest one to read.
Yeah.
Too large to see, because I'm not even going to say it. Too large to see, too small to miss. Our mass binds, your matter frees. Our philosophies lay divided. Oh, also on the final one, they actually have a period at the start and at the end, and I think it's interesting. So, like on the minuses, on the -9 here, they start with a capital, but they don't have end punctuation,
Huh.
and the rest don't start with capital, don't have end punctuation, but on the line they have the period at the start and at the end. I'm not sure if that means anything or if it's just like they were like, yeah, how about it does this, just to like further
Yeah.
differentiate it. Um, and
It's
then the
probably
second,
just a it's probably just to differentiate it. But wouldn't it be cool if there was some like code breaker out there that could
yeah,
figure there was some hidden message with all of that?
yeah,
Anyway.
like the way that you can like restructure it some
Yeah.
specific way and it says something
Yeah.
else.
Drink more
Um,
Ovaltine.
yes, of course. What else would it say? Uh, and so then skipping the second paragraph, we go to the third. Do you understand our fates are intertwined? For you see the anisotropy we sustain, but decay is decay is decay, a colossal fragility, a complex fiduciary. Tongueless we try to speak. There must be another way. We must become more than we are, always together, never touching. Dependence is death fated. So that's the nine syntaxes. And now I feel like I should just skip down. It's all the way down here in our notes. We have like 20 pages of notes, and there
Yeah, so
is.
in a nutshell, the nine have always been here. They've been here since life was seated in the universe, and they just had no way of communicating really. And as we've gone on, they have um, they have brought themselves into our awareness
Mhm.
throughout the history of Destiny, and so their existence, like they were saying to you, their existence revolves around not necessarily light or dark, but both just being there. And like us, we're kind of in the middle of that in between light and dark type of thing. And then what's cool about it is they mentioned being tied to the cores of um, the planets in our soul system, and how they're here in and around everything. And I think the big thing that they are trying to kind of say is our soul system is what we're bound to at the moment, because we're not really, outside the heliopause, we're not really like out there. And so all of the burdens that we have to face in our trials are here very much in the soul system, and our collapse is wrapped around that. And so they're here with us. Now, whether the reason they can talk to us now was a part of the collapse or the Ahamkara, or, you know, just whatever happened that brought all these enemies here. That could be, integral to uh, why we know about them and care about them at all. But since they're here and we're here, they have learned how to put themselves into our awareness.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the best way to summarize it.
Yeah. And so it was from the book The Awoken of the Reef. The nine have two, I guess they're both technically emissaries, but one is called the emissary
Yeah.
and the other is called Zur. Uh, so Orin the emissary, in the entry of the Awoken of the Reef emissary, Orin is speaking. I'll actually put it on screen so you can see the syntaxes as well. Orin is speaking to the nine, and so you have Orin speaking with the apostrophes on the end. That's how you can differentiate regular Orin speech and nine speech. And it's basically a back
Yeah.
and forth, and sometimes they speak twice. Uh, but the important bit is she's challenging them, and they're all saying like, "Oh, we're so much more powerful than you. We can do whatever we want." And she's like, "No, you're
Right.
not. Like, shut the fuck up." And they go, then why are we afraid? We are the nine. And she goes, "Ha, are you?" And they respond, "Are we?" And she's all quiet. And then the nine admit it. One of the nine admit it. They go, "Truth, truth, count the voices." And she goes, "One, two, three, four, five. Ha ha." They see it our way. Given time, we are the same. So the nine are divided amongst themselves,
Yeah.
and she's like mocking them for it. She's saying, "You're not the nine, you're the five." And they say nine, and she says five, and then one of them says yes. So even of the five, there is infighting. Like so it's not even just the four and the
Yeah.
five, as I like to call it, but it's actually the the three, the four, and the two. So on screen for anyone listening is the nines symbol, the three circles that are divided into sections with lines. So the first circle from left to right, based on the image I found, the first circle has three sections. The second circle
Ah.
has four sections, and the third circle has two sections. Now, these sections also correlate to the flowing, the
Armor set.
crushing,
Yeah.
and the channeling armor sets that are these are all on screen uh, from the prophecy dungeon. So you'll notice on the hunter the and the symbols are all going from top to bottom instead of left to right now, but they are in the
Yeah.
same order. So the hunter's symbol is the first one, and it's colored in. It's not just like the rest. So the
Right.
first one is the three, the hunter. The two or the four is the titan, the four, and the two is the warlock. And so this is where it really gets to the point of this episode where each of the sets, flowing, crushing, channeling, you ask sorry about that. We go into the prophecy and we ask them, what is the darkness? And so, for example, on the hunter sets, the flowing, you get the answer of what is the darkness, and in each of the entries, you are shown a world of light. So the three shows you a world of light. Fast forward a bit to the Titan, what is the darkness? You get a world of dark. And then fast forward further to the warlock, the flowing, the channeling. What is the darkness? And you are in a world between. You see a space beyond light and dark, and like so,
Of
each.
course, the warlocks get to see what we can't all see.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's as specific as that, but so you go back to
Yeah.
the entry of the emissary, and you basically see that you have two voices who are saying, "We are five, we aren't nine." And then you
Yeah.
have multiple voices saying, "No, no, no, we are the nine. Don't listen to her. We are the
Yeah.
nine."
Yeah.
And so the two likely are the two who are seen on the channeling set, which is the world between, as opposed to the three, which is the light, and the four, which is the dark. So it's really the two,
Yeah.
the three, and the four.
It totally
Which
makes sense, though. And I didn't realize that the I don't know where I've been. I've been sleeping under a rock, but I didn't realize that the symbols had that many spaces in each one.
Yeah,
I knew that they were tied to the classes, and I knew that they kind of spoke for each one of the, but I never knew like there was 2 and 1 and 3 and 1 and 4 and 1.
yeah, and it's one of those things that like whenever I get the chance, this is one of my favorite things in the lore.
Uh-huh.
The nine have really become one of my favorite things in the lore because it feels like how the lore used to be like in Destiny One,
Yeah,
where so little of it was like I don't want to say given to you, but like it was all like scattered pieces and you really had to put it
sure.
together. And so like you look at this armor set and you go, why is that one highlighted? And then you look at the next
Yeah,
one, why is that one highlighted? You look at the next one, why is that one highlighted? And you look at the pieces
totally
and it's
makes
like,
sense.
oh my god, it all connects together. And
Well,
it's
what also is cool is if you take all three of them and you align them on top of one another, they make the IX symbol, which is the nine. So when you,
no
I
fucking
know,
way.
yes, sir. So this was figured out a long time ago, and then Jake Watermelon XO actually made a GIF of it. This is like what 4 years ago now. Anyway, he made a GIF of it once where it was rotating all the symbols around. I thought it was really cool. And then when they rotate just right, you get IX, and it
Oh
makes
my
nine.
god. Oh my god. Oh.
Sorry,
I
derailed
can
again. The Rhino train came steaming down
see.
the tracks. So it's a neat little trick. If you put them on all on top of each other and you rotate them just right, you get IX. So
That
that's the symbol for Zur, the nine, and we see him have that little IX with him as his representative thing.
we have to like do a dry run of the show before we actually do the show. So when you have that thought, I can be like, "Oh, I'll have it ready for the show."
Yeah, I just assumed everybody knew it. I'm sorry.
I've never seen that. I want to see it now.
We'll find it and then we'll put it up on the Twitters.
Oh my god. I'll message him after the show because I,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
I can't find like the keyword search. I don't know what he put in
Sure.
for it.
I don't either.
Oh god, that bothers me.
Yeah, but it's not like it's some grand, exposition. It's just when you put them on there and you rotate them just right, you got IX. So it
Uh
just
huh.
happens. It's just neat. It's just a neat little thing. But what I thought was interesting is so like we know about Zur. So Zur has been in the game from day one. Well,
Well, from week
he
one.
didn't. We didn't see him, but he's technically been a part of this game ever since the game started. So Zur's little symbol, and he pops in and out of our game whenever he feels like it, and he gives us, exotics from who knows where. But we used to give him strange coins
Mm-hmm.
to get these things, and his little symbol, which is that here that triangle shape with the divided lines, and it's got the nine symbol in it, and it kind of makes it weird. But who knows? He was the nine's first um, experiment into trying to become a part of our universe physically,
Yeah.
and they screwed up. It was like the first boat they tried to put out on the ocean, and it was kind of held together by like rubber bands and duct tape and baling wire, and
Well,
it's just this broken mass of a person.
so that's actually an interesting thing. So I suggest everyone like go on to Ishtar because we're not going to have the time to read every
Sure.
single entry. Go on to Ishtar. All you have to do is search CODA, and then you find flowing, crushing, channeling. It reads helmet, arms, chest, legs, and then the mark or the class items are mark, judgment, cloak, judgment, bond, judgment. Those will also come up under the Coda search.
Yeah.
So read it in order, but the the thing about Zur is when you get to the channeling wraps. So the two, the ones who show you the space between, they say you notice red ribbons bind your wrists. They lead far away from here across a vast white expanse, disappearing into infinity. We tied those ribbons to see what you would do. So that we could learn about you, about and this system. It was our emissaries' idea. Second contact. We have learned since then. The heavens above you are clear of stars and shadows. Your soul is weary. And they all end with that, like, your soul is weary, your feet find purchase on whatever it is. Uh, so basically, that might not be the best one or the correct one, but the two claim ownership of the emissary and Zur. They say like we're interested in you,
Right.
and we want we yeah, there it is. Uh You used to inhabit space like this, no longer. We are still there. We are not interested in light or dark. Our interest is in you and those like you. We have reached out before with an agent whose will was not his own. First contact. We have learned since then. So first contact, as you said, was Sir.
Yeah.
And then second contact is the emissary who had this idea to tie red ribbons on your hands and see what you do with them. Is that a what the hell is his name? Norse Wolf who eats Odin.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Uh, was that the Beowulf story or something?
No,
Wait, no,
no,
that's
no.
that
The
was no
because
wait, wait.
the
Yeah, you're right,
the
right.
guy who the wolf trusted had his hands
Oh
bound
man.
in the same ribbon that the wolf was going to be
Yeah.
bound in inside his mouth, or maybe it was one hand. No, it's been a while since I've
Yeah.
read Norse
I get it all
mythology.
muddled. I always get it all muddled. A
Yeah,
Gleipnir or whatever his name was, something. Oh, it's from the Prose Edda. I reread the Prose Edda, if you can imagine that.
Fenrir.
Well, I didn't reread it. I had the
Yeah,
Audible.
Loki's son Fenrir,
Yeah.
and Fenrir was on the side of the Aesir,
Yep.
but because they didn't trust Fenrir, he was like, all right, then fuck you guys.
Yeah. Exactly.
He was like, I would have fought for you, but you guys are dicks.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude. Cool callback.
I
Yeah,
wonder
because
if that's like a reference to that though.
well, it could be because that was okay. So that story, if I'm remembering correctly, was about the rejection of the gods and how they were basically under trial, kind of like the trials of the nine. So they forced they forced or he was forced. It was
Oh,
forced into a scenario where they had to um, make a decision, I guess.
so you were actually correct as well because you said Gleipnir, right?
Yeah,
Gleipnir.
Gleipnir.
That was the rope, as I'm calling it, the or chain. I guess depending on the story that you're being told, it's different. But in the story I heard, I could have sworn that it was a red ribbon bound him, and it was supposed to be like, oh yeah, we've tried all these like heavy metal chains, and now this red ribbon is all that this like enchanted ribbon is enough to actually
Yeah,
hold him back.
yeah, because like you don't see well, you're not supposed to see the wolf until like the end of days or something. You're not
Yeah,
supposed to see him.
he gets out during Ragnarok and goes and eats Odin.
Yeah, yeah. So like something about something. As long as he's bound up, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Because that was Odin's whole deal. He was like, if I can just prevent something, like at least
Yeah,
then it's like, so I won't, because they saw the future, or they predicted the future, and it was like, oh, so I'm gonna get killed by Fenrir. So
yes,
if we bind him, then I won't get killed by Fenrir. But of course, Norse mythology,
yeah.
it happened anyway, and now we're here because Ragnarok has already happened, right?
Right. Well, yeah, but the Ragnarok. Okay, so here's what's cool about Ragnarok. It's supposed to happen, and it keeps happening.
Uh huh.
So, like in Norse mythology, when Ragnarok happens, it washes the slate clean, and then everything starts growing again.
Oh, hey, wait, look, I got ribbons over here. You think these are the same ribbons? For anyone listening, sorry, I made a background. I think it's Eternity. It's one of the 9 maps that aren't there anymore. They have a maypole with a whole bunch of ribbons
Yeah, interesting.
and a ball. What's that up? What's up with that?
I was thinking that was a speck on my screen. I was trying to scratch it off earlier, but it's just like a little black moon or something. It's one of the mini orbs that they put all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was like a fly on your screen or something.
But so I think it's really interesting. Before we move on from the Coda set, I would like to say I do think it's interesting how the nine, or rather how the two, the three, and the four,
Yeah,
view the light and the dark. So,
yeah.
and I guess this is like their collective view of the light and the dark, even
Well,
though
so
it's.
so what happened in Trials of the Nine? They were trying to test us because they had an ulterior motive. They wanted
Mhm.
to figure out more about us, and so the trial they
Well,
know a
that
lot.
would be second contact from the two.
Yeah, yeah. So the trial happened because they're very much interested in us, just like they were, with three other individuals who
Hmm.
transcended. But anyway, they were interested in us because, like us, they are tied and bound by the same expectations and limitations of the universe.
Hmm.
And so, in order to transcend that universe, they need to know more about us to become like the three.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? So, like, if we are bound by paracausal and
Yeah.
slash physical
Yeah.
rule sets, they are too. However, there are three representatives that transcended those rule sets.
Yeah.
In order to become more like them, and one of them being a grand experiment, quotes,
So
we are integral to them learning how to do that.
I wonder how much. So basically, for anyone who doesn't know, the three that we're talking about right now isn't the three of the nine. It's what's commonly called the Dark Vanguard. You have Drifter, who was the Dredgen, as the nine called them. You have Eris, who was the Blade, who found a new purpose. I don't
Sharpened
know if,
anew, yeah,
sure,
yeah.
yeah, some romantic way of saying, right? Like that's all it is. It's just
Yeah, some pros.
yeah. And then also the hourglass with infinite patience, and which
Yeah,
is Elsie slash the Exo Stranger. So you basically have your Elsie stasis, your Eris hive magic, who's also now using stasis, and your Drifter, who in that cutscene, I don't think he even used stasis. I think he was just like sizing everyone up and dodging and like you know
yeah,
because and we know that he has this ability to create taken, which is
yeah,
unheard of by
yeah.
anyone else. So third power, so you have your three dark powers, but I wonder if it's the nine as a whole who was interested in them, or if it's specifically uh the four who's interested in them. The four being the ones who are the broken up sentences with a minus plus equals line and
Yeah,
are interested, seemingly interested more so in the darkness than the light.
yeah. It almost seems like they've kind of that's part of the separation between the nine is like the other ones are kind of like, oh, we don't care,
Hmm.
or they're like, like why would you occupy yourselves with such frivolity, I guess is the word, or like just they don't see a point in all of that. They think it almost seems like they think in order to be more like us,
Hmm.
uh, they don't need to interact with us and do all that stuff the four are doing. They need to just kind of wait it out, or there's somebody else that they're more interested in. Who knows? But what would be cool is if the nine just showed up one day physically, and then they were a whole nother enemy, or friend, foe, whatever, frenemy, some
Yes.
way. Or maybe they'll just
So
absorb the Eldritch race and become something new, and we will no longer have Hive.
so before we move on, Mother Codfish in chat said, I thought Drifter just lured Taken and other species he used in Gambit. So that is the lie that he told to Shin Malphur,
That's
who
right.
was who what he didn't know it was Shin Malphur. He thought it was Orsa Zir, I think. Was he Orsa?
Whatever his many names was.
Was Shin Orsa or was Shin Vale?
Oh, crap.
Either way.
Yeah,
That was well, and it might not have actually been a lie. It might have started
it was
that
Orson.
way.
Yeah, yeah,
But so when you look in the book Stolen Intelligence, which I can put up on screen, in Stolen Intelligence, this is a hidden report So here you have this data is obtained from surveillance devices. This is from Honor, who is watching Drifter. In previous reports, I stated that it is my belief that Drifter had invoked some kind of paracausal event enabling the resurrection of the enemy VIP to 2015 Oryx. This belief is predicated upon reports of creatures resembling the infamous echoes of Oryx that the Guardian forces engaged in and destroyed en masse during the Taken War. Further on, uh, it says here, just to not read all that, he can create prime evil likes from the energy of the Hall and sheer force of will. As to the apparent presence of 215, it is a falsehood. My handlers in the Praxic Order surmise simply the shape of Oryx was the scariest hive he could think of. He's tenacious, but he has a small mind.
Yeah.
So
I love those little digs at all the characters. It's just funny. Writers have so much fun with this stuff.
Basically, yeah, he maybe he did start by just like, because that's what he said, that he corralled a bunch of Taken into a slice
Mhm.
of the ascendant plane and he can just like push them out whenever he wants.
Yeah.
But there is evidence that he is creating them as well through a force of will. And that's something that's another one of the things. There are so many like little like details that people just
Yeah.
like they see the first example and they lock that in. They're like, Drifter's corralling Taken, and they lock that in like that's what it is. But then the
Right.
second example comes a little bit later, and they've already locked it in. So
Oh, yeah.
that's
You're
just over
right.
their head. It
Right.
doesn't lock in, and
There
so
is a there
yeah,
is a there is a term for that, and I forget what it is right now. But that is a term that happens, and it happens a lot in
yeah,
just everything. And it takes a while for people to realize, oh wait, I should have paid attention. But yeah,
hmm
so just like you said, they plant a seed, and then they give you like a little bit of knowledge, which makes you automatically assume the thing that seems the most believable,
yeah,
right? And so this is a story. This is something that writers do constantly too. But they'll give you just enough information at the beginning of a story to make you believe, oh, you know what? That's exactly what that is. I know the end now. I know
yeah,
exactly what's going to happen. Everybody is guilty of doing this. Like you
yeah,
start a Netflix series, and and that first guy, you see him or girl, and you see them, and you're like, oh, that's the bad person. I already
yep,
know it. I already know it. And then like towards the end, you're like, oh my God, I didn't see that coming.
yeah.
So they did this all the time.
So especially with Destiny, because everything that you read in the lore, or most everything that you read in the lore, is being told from a perspective of a character. So you have to think about how reliable is that character? Are they likely
Mhm.
to lie to me? And you have the Drifter saying, "Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
just corralled a bunch of Taken." Of course he's going to lie. Like he's the easiest one to be like, "I'm gonna
Uh,
remember that, but I'm not gonna believe it." Like that, like tuck that away and then look for the other information. Whereas a Nor and the Praxic Order, they might be like I don't know an appropriate word for them, like
despicable.
fascists.
Yeah.
Like would they would is the Praxic Order fascists?
I don't know. I think they're just hell bent on being so right that nothing else that fits within the lines of what they believe will be accepted. Whatever
So,
that means.
but even though they might not be the most friendly group, they the hidden reports are reliable, and that's where
Yeah.
that was coming from.
Yeah.
That was a Praxic warlock making a hidden report, and
There's another funny concept of when somebody you don't like tells you the thing that makes the most sense and was true all along.
mhm,
Like the praxis. So like
yeah,
when we first knew about praxis and the order, we thought of them as like, oh, they are the chariots of fire. They are the end all be all crusaders. They're the best representatives of the light. They sacrifice themselves in a conflagration of flames when everything goes wrong as a way to keep humanity going, right? And
yeah.
then, wait a minute, there's a bad side to these guys.
Political extremists. I think that's a more
Yeah,
appropriate term.
well, maybe
Because they like anything to do with the dark. They are like, you deserve to die.
yeah, 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 and they do well. And I would say, like, just like any of the factions, there's always an extreme version
Yeah.
of, yeah. Unfortunately, they don't speak for the masses, but they do stand out.
Yeah. Like I'm waiting for the day to see that lore entry where there's just like a guardian in a bar asking for extra ice in his drink, and then a Nord just pulls a gun on him. And it's like, you wanted extra what?
Yeah.
Stasis for
Boy.
anyone who didn't get that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so to
Yeah.
recap, the
Yeah.
9 are the 2, the 3, and the 4. The 2 like us, the 3 like light, the 4 like dark. Drifter can create Taken. And I feel like we had something else.
Were we talking about Eris yet?
We not haven't really talked about Eris yet.
But she's the end of it, so we can save her for a second.
Yeah.
But
So
okay,
before
so Stranger.
yeah, before we get off of the Coda stuff, I do want to say, so starting with the Hunter, we have the World Full of Light. And so in the World Full of Light, uh you feel every particle on your face catch fire as your sight burns away. The heat persists, though you can no longer see. You know there is nothing to see anyway. You hear nothing over the roar of the wind. Your vision gradually returns. Something grips your hands, desperately shaking them. And then my favorite entry, this is the important one. This is how the 9 view the light. The shouting grows eager. You can smell it now. Whatever has seized you, ancient, rotting, powerful. Its grip is strong as yours. The heat of light coursing through it. It can smell the light on you too. It knows you are just like it. It has lived forever, a gift from your shared parent. Forever is too long. You think you know what it's saying now. It begs for death. So basically, we live in this, like, especially the Praxics, they live in this like ideal of like, oh, the light is pure and the light is good and everything, but it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, but you're gonna live forever, and it's it's
It's a good trade-off.
yeah.
Yeah, so like we learned about Ulan Tan's teaching and how woke he was about explaining to us
Mm-hmm.
if you come to the realization that light and dark can't exist without one another, then you'll realize that you probably shouldn't exist. I don't know. Whatever his teaching was necessary. I mean, whatever he was trying to say.
Yeah.
He was
Then
basically saying if you sacrifice yourself, then you don't have any of it, or something like that.
and then moving on to the dark, which is what the 4 like. uh It is a pitch black in a world full of dark. You smell rotting stench all around you. The wind roars in your ears. A starless sky hangs above you. You have idle hands. There is nothing to touch as far as you can tell. And it's basically just that over and over and over. Just like
Yeah,
the stars are gone, it smells bad, and there's nothing here. And
but
then
it's no bad.
the final one is the warlock, the 2, who is interested in the space between. And as we previously mentioned, the red ribbons, Zur, they're interested in us. So you see what only the light left you. Every day there will be unmarred forever for you and all those like you. But the dark has returned, and when light and dark meet, universes collapse. Not something to mourn, natural order, but we believe you exist to buck natural order. You always did, even before the dark, before the light. So basically, like saying, oh, sorry, and it continues, when it was just you and those like you, we would learn more. The heavens above you are clear and clear of stars and shadows. Your feet find purchase on a 3-dimensional plane, blah, blah, blah. So basically, it's like the 2 are interested in humanity. They think
Yeah,
humanity is
humanity.
like this great like middle finger to the universe, and it's like
Yes.
they're the ones who can make us real. They are the ones
Yeah.
that we need to learn how to
And
flip
so
off the
that's
universe
and
as
so
well.
that's so narratively that's always been an archetype for many sci-fi stories, is that humanity within the universe in whatever shape or form it is the end all be all key that is, just like you said, the middle finger to the universe that they exist in. And so, like, you should take pride in the fact that to exist as humanity, which, is humans, I guess, but to exist is basically like saying to the universe, fuck you. Because the universe doesn't care about whether
Yeah.
you exist or not. If you exist, it was an amazing feat that you overcame. It was a ridiculously tall mountain that you somehow climbed to
Hmm.
get to the top and say, "Hey, look, I'm here." And so, what they're saying is, before you got paracausal powers and became a guardian or light bearer or whatever you want to call yourself,
Hmm.
you were already an amazing feat
Yeah.
to exist. And so, the nine want to be like you,
And I
or
think
some of them do.
that's a great analogy to also pitch what the light and the dark is, where the light is like, what if we leveled the mountain? And it's like
Yes.
everything exists,
Yes.
you're already there. And the dark is like, what if the mountain was spewing lava and had boulders rolling down it and poisonous snakes and
Uh,
a mean guy like that's gonna call you names? It's like everything that can be worse is now
yeah,
on that
that's a
mountain.
good idea. That's a good way of putting it. Mythologies and folklore around the globe have always kind of told that same scenario, and it's always been this dichotomy. It's always been this struggle of light versus dark. But
Hmm.
what they all tell you in their stories is not hero versus villain. What they're telling you is inevitability. And so you need to accept your environment. And the only way to ascend is to be of a almost sacrificial, like almost the betterment for humanity. For humans to go on and exist, you have to um, forgo all the bindings and ties of your natural realm or world that you exist in. And so, not to paint a picture of it, but they turn these philosophies, ideals that even go all the way far back as Egypt, ancient Egypt, into religions and other things, but in belief systems. And so, what I think is interesting is they all kind of have a similar um, scenario, and whether or not you grow as a human, it's up to you. So you have the freedom, you have the choice of, you have free will. Right? And so the players in the game of Destiny, the two entities that are, remove themselves or put themselves in the game, I guess you say, the chess game, the chessboard, the flower game, whatever you want to say, um, they are here in the struggle, but the nine represent the opposite side that you can't see of the physical realm. And they want to be like us
Hmm.
because they see us because of our paracausal power. That's probably
So
too abstract.
Mother Codfish mentioned a vision that Orin gave the Drifter, and I'm trying to find it. Do you,
Oh,
is that
the
the is that from the Warlock and Nor where Drifter was
yeah,
talking to the emissary and no one could see the emissary but Drifter?
yeah, I think so. And then that's the one where he snaps out of it and he's like, "Oh, I see." And then like he doesn't tell you what he saw, but he kind of sees the coming future.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
man planning well this morning.
yeah. Drifter saw something we didn't see.
Uh,
That might be a hard one to
incorporating.
find because that was a cutscene, wasn't it?
No, it was an entry. Damn it. Chasing Legends and then so where did I start? Six. I started at six. Let me just go through these really quick. I'll see if I can find them because that's an interesting one. Drifter can see. No, it was Orin dialogue in the Prophecy Dungeon. Oh well, I'm never gonna find that because Drifter has some very conflicting emotions on uh Orin. So
Yeah,
so basically
but yeah,
the prophecy dungeon has Orin scattered all over the place and you get the drifter to talk to her and many of those, I'll put it in chat just for anyone who's interested. So
Good
many of
idea.
those have transcripts, and most of them have the drifter yelling at the uh huh. I sorry. Uh Drifter's just calling her a lunatic all the time. I can see if there's visions.
Remember, Drifter rejects um, his gift basically.
Yeah,
So
he
like that
hates
would
the
make
light.
sense. Yeah. So that would make sense for him because he rejects the existence of his ghost even.
Hmm.
Um, and so it's almost like the little thing that they keep playing around with, his insatiable hunger, is kind of a part of that story arc. And I won't delve way into that, but remember, Drifter saw some shit go down on
Oh shit,
and
I
I
found it.
oh go ahead.
Yeah, this is a long one. I wish I could get right to this. So basically, the emissary says, "Dredgen, let's play a game. Your kind reveals so much in the choices you make." And he replies, "What the hell does that mean? You know what? Okay, I'll bite." And so she sends him on those visions that we get in the coda entries. That's what they were talking about. So,
Wow.
uh, the night has enveloped you. This is a world full of dark, no sparks. And he goes, "What's that smell?" And she says, "The stench of death." And he goes, "Am I dead? I hope so, because what I'm smelling, I don't want to be touching." And she says, "You stand atop a dead world, a collapse. Get me out of here." "Very well, your feet find purchase on shifting sands, which is the world of light." And he goes, "What the hell? How are you doing this?
Oh
It's
yes,
too
yes,
bright."
yes, yes.
And she goes, "The sun is blinding. This is a world full of light, no shadows. A creature runs into you in blindness. It nearly bowls you over." And so yeah, it's basically a drifter is experiencing uh
Future outcome.
oh sorry about that. For the link, we just have a Nightbot to not allow links at this fault safe. Sorry about
Oh,
that. uh but yeah, so that's the one. It's there. It's in this prophecy transcript, and the video should have all of them as well. It's a whole playlist. So if you're really interested in seeing it, you can just sit there and watch, chill out. Ishtar does a lot of great things
mhm.
with that. I wish I had had that prepared because I don't want to just be sitting through the video trying to find the correct one.
Yeah.
But so
I wish I had the item. I'll have to find it too. But that whole scenario right there that you're describing and talking about, that's directly ripped from another uh, story, and I can't remember the name of it right now. But I'll find a link to that later and put it on Twitter or something. But it's a callback to that item that we got in game, which is a whole nother story outside of Destiny. But it's basically um, the king seeing a future outcome that is basically a wasteland of everything that he's doing could potentially create. So it's kind of like a warning, a tell, a story of an inevitable future of regardless of the decisions you decide to make in the present, this is going to happen. And Drifter knows already there could be a second coming collapse, whatever, deluge, whatever you want to call it. And so his cowardice, his weaseling, trying to protect himself from that or insulate himself from the second collapse isn't necessarily going to work.
mhm.
Is kind of what they're saying.
So I do have what I thought they were mentioning. Uh, it is from another stolen intelligence, so it's another hidden report, and they're spying on the drifter, and it's basically one of those U-101, U-102, like the old Thorn entries used to be,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
only the drifter talking because they can't see the emissary. And so he's just like, "What now? What the hell is it you're trying to tell me? You showed me a universe with no light, dominated by dark. What are you arguing? Steadfastness in the traveler's dogma? Ha ha, that's not obtuse enough for y'all." "No, no, I don't think so." Because so like there's conversations between this that we're missing, and I really hope that we can actually get that one day because it'd be interesting. But the big reason why I like this is they are actually like torturing him as well. He goes, I refuse to travel their dogma for generations, and I'll reject yours. A rush of static as the feed distorts from light based radiation. You can't boil my brain, brothers and sisters. I see you trying, but I'm already there. A fizzling cackle as the feed distorts from light based radiation. So there's some way to like actually use the light on him from the nine. So they are getting smarter. And if you think you have a handle on Orin, well, you didn't know her like I did. You slip up just once, that girl will eat you alive. Nine steak sounds mighty tasty if you can find it. Scrape it all together. Get a fire going, that'll cook it. What a fire that would be. You wanted to see what made us tick. Maybe Drifter wants to see what makes you stop. So like he's got like a vendetta against the nine, but I think it's all talk as well. I don't think he has
Sure,
any
yeah,
intention of ever
that's how
going
he
after them.
that's how he is. He's the barking dog that scares away the bad guys. But if you get close enough, he's just like,
Yeah.
not so much.
And so a dull roar as the feed distorts from light based radiation. Yeah, boy, that's a threat. Hello? No, not you. I still need you. This week. Get back to work. What? Nothing. Still
Yeah,
hungry. Like he's a lunatic.
yeah.
I remember because this came out in Season of the Drifter. I remember when he would say things like that. He would have all these lines like when he came out in Forsaken about being hungry and stuff. And I was like,
Hmm.
is Drifter a cannibal? Like I was like so positive that he was a cannibal, and then he
Not
starts
only
saying
is
things
he
about
a cannibal, but he just eats everything.
yeah,
Period.
he's a non-discriminate eater. Like,
Yes, he will eat anything.
yeah, it's an interesting way for Destiny to go, and I mean, they kind of did a similar thing with the Fallen, where they were
Hmm.
confronted about eating babies, and they're
Babies.
like, we would never eat a baby. We have eaten adults. We were very hungry.
Yeah, yeah. We would never intentionally kill a baby
Yeah,
to eat it.
yeah, we're not hunting your infants, but I
But if
mean,
you
if
had a dead baby laying around and we were hungry, maybe it'd be
yeah.
a good snack.
Yeesh. But so all this talk about the emissary probably has people wondering who's the emissary. And the emissary actually has a huge story
Yeah.
that we do not have time to go fully into today. Maybe we can another day if she
Yeah.
becomes more relevant after the 30th. But so basically, a quick run is that emissary was human, went on the Yangli way, Exodus Green, got turned into an awoken, came
Yep.
out into the reef alongside Mara, but said, "I want to leave the reef. I want to become an Earthborn awoken
Yep.
because they need to know about you and what
You.
you're doing."
Yes.
And then she died. So
Whoops.
she's had like so human, awoken, guardian, emissary. So she's technically had four names. Her human name, her awoken name, her guardian name, and then also the emissary.
Yeah.
So from the book Ecdysis, the entry Debt, uh, as a guardian, as the guardian Orin, she is actually still working for Marasov, and Sure Ido is dead and is found with strange coins on. Is it two strange coins on the eyes,
Oh man. I
or is
don't
it one
remember, but
strange
that would
coin
be
on the
cool because
forehead?
that would be the ferryman tale from the Coxodus story info and mythology.
Hmm.
Well, if it was the eyes, because
It
that's
was
you.
either two strange coins, one on each eye, or it was one strange coin on her forehead, and or maybe it was just like on her body.
Maybe
Either
it was just
way, Sure was found dead with a strange coin, and Mara basically sends Orin out to find the nine. And so as Orin goes out to find it, it's like Mara's like, I need you to find who killed her, and she's like, to know or to see them killed, and Mara's like, to know. I'm not sure it was a murder. And so
yeah.
Orin goes. I'm just trying to because it's like a random entry. I'm just trying to like phrase it correctly. Orin goes in search of the nine, and she's on the moon. So it reads, the search sends her deep into a sublunar cavern where she finds no enemies, but instead clouds of steam and a half man with grasping tentacles where his face should be.
Yeah.
Forgive them, he rasps as she crushes his windpipe in her fist. Who? She snarls, tightening her grip. His face writhes with growing urgency, reminding herself that she came here for answers first and vengeance second. She pushes him away. He staggers, steadies, reaches into his robes, and draws something out. Orin, Gull, her ghost, warns, but she's already seen it. She hefts her warhammer and strikes him hard in the chest. It is like hitting a ball off a tee. There is no resistance. He caroms off of a dewy boulder with a sickening crunch. That is his spine. He will never
Yes.
stand straight again. And as he hits the ground, a tarnished silver jaw slips from his fingers. The sound echoes as it bounces away into the dark. Orin uses a hunting knife and brute strength to puncture the jaw's dented lid. She turns it over and pours thin steam of pale gray powder into her gloved palm. Dust returns. It ever returns.
It
The man
is.
chuckles wheezily. He looks up and he is gone.
So, jaw bone.
It's coated in silver.
Yes. To keep the auditory
Auditory.
hallucinations
Yep.
at a minimum. So what that means, chat or people listening, is ahamkara bone. So
Yep.
that dust returns that's what's kind of relevant right now, and what this whole thing is kind of getting to is um the nine played around with the ahamkara,
Yes.
and just like everybody else in this game. And if you're not careful, you could be working as an agent for the ahamkara if you aren't paying attention to what you're doing throughout the game. And so our characters that we know in the game all have been, in one way or another, touched by an ahamkara or manipulated by ahamkara in the story.
Yeah.
And so this whole
And
dang thing could just be one big thing.
and again, this is the two who were interested in the nine.
Yeah.
As we can, since we're on the nine, or not the nine, the Amkara, uh as we're on that bit, we can jump ahead to the entry, the bone from the book Dust.
Yep.
So this follows Lavinia, not to be confused with one of the many names of Orin. She is not Orin, she's just a random
Okay.
cryptarch. uh so she tries to explain that she only wanted to track the bone back to its source, Venus hopefully, and learn why the nine needed the Ahamkara. Why do you think the nine needed the Ahamkara? Ikora asked dangerously. To make wishes, Lavinia pants. Zur didn't appear in the tower until the end of the Great Ahamkara hunt. Whatever they used to get from the Ahamkara, she leaves it unsaid. Maybe the nine are now getting it from the Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
And so for
Excuse me.
a very long time, this goes hand in hand. There was I believe it was a shotgun motion to vacate. Uh, it had an entry that said, "Done can't be undone," and this is the nine speaking. And actually, I will put that on screen so you can see the syntax. Done can't be undone. Remember the slaughter. It was no slaughter. Our children. Stolen constructs, not ours. I can still hear the echoes. Hallucinations. 10,000 dying wishes. We were
Yeah.
merciful. We should have chosen otherwise. The dreamer survived, only to fall. Rid yourself of this regret. So a lot of this is really going hand in hand with Ahamkara. I can
Yeah.
still hear the echoes, hallucinations, 10,000 dying wishes. Like
Yep.
these are all
Yep.
like
Yep.
Ahamkara keywords.
Yep. And the dreamer is the only one that survived.
Yeah, and it's like, who's the dreamer? Could that be Riven, or could there be another Ahamkara out there? Because as they said, the dreamer survived only to fall. So is it to fall to imply that she was captured? Is this to say, because this is from Warmind. This is before Forsaken, so
Yeah.
it's not after we've defeated Riven. But is that to say that they have some way of knowing that we were going to kill Riven, or is
And
it?
they could just be talking about, the alpha lupi
Yeah, it could be
in a
that as well.
nutshell. Yeah.
That
What
was
I
one of the
think is
things.
what I think is interesting is how Bungie plays with the war mind. Now that you brought that up, because rampant AI have always been like a construct of Marathon, the game
Uh-huh.
before, Halo and stuff, and in Halo there were rampant AIs like Mendicant Bias and Guilty Spark 343, and
Mhm.
So like these rampant AIs that they are they tend to be like the villains of the story, but also you find out later on that they weren't necessarily so villainous as you thought. They were more or less kind of giving you a window into what was happening because they are, whether it's trustable or not, they are the one thing that catalogs and and archives what happened in your surroundings before everything fell apart. So like you learn from the war mine, you learn from the ghosts, you learn from all of these different entities in the game, what's going on in your universe. But you kind of have to pick and choose what to trust.
So, speaking of the dreamer only to fall, as I have no idea how to pronounce her name. I'm sorry. As someone in chat said, I planned on plugging this video at the end. Matt, Mylan Games, actually just put out a video, as we talked
Yeah.
about in our DMs, where he said the nine saw Oryx take Riven, and that is what only to fall means. Oryx took Riven all the way back in the Taken King, which is much GT Finn. Okay, GT Finn. Uh, that's how you pronounce the name. Thank you. Uh, so they saw that all the way back in the Taken King. The Dreamer survived only to fall. Like that's a very, I think that's a very valid possibility. And we're still going to plug Matt's video at the end of this.
Yeah.
And
It is a great job summarizing and giving you the story without just reading pages after pages after pages after pages of stuff.
but also, as much as I love Matt, and as much as I appreciate people coming here to listen to watch us talk, absolutely go read it for yourself. Go be the person
Yes. Yes.
who finds that line that Rhino, myself, that Matt, that Bife, that Blue, and Focused Fire Chat, that the Guardians of Lore, that Spinfoil Theory, that
Yep.
everyone is missing. Be the person who's like, wait a second, no one's talking about this,
Yes.
and
Please.
completely blow it open. Please be that person.
Yeah, because there's so many things that without you guys, we wouldn't even be aware of.
Yeah,
Because we read this stuff, and you get that's the problem with everything in life. You get in the trenches and you start digging.
you're too close.
You're missing it. You're missing what's happening
Mm-hmm.
out on the battlefield. If you don't step back every now and then and get an aerial view of what's happening, you're gonna get lost. So um you can either be the guy in the sky or be the guy or the girl in the trenches helping figure it out. But we need people at all perspectives. We need people to be standing on
Yeah.
mountains.
So Mother Codfish said, "Do you guys have any recommendation where to start with the Destiny lore? I just started delving into it this season, so I only know very little bits and pieces." So Matt on DCP months ago actually said he, and I agree with him, and that's why I'm bringing it up, and that's why I'm saying that he said this. So you get the season, right, and the season is telling you the story, and it kind of gets you hooked. It's like, oh man, what's this? And it gives you answers, but it also gives you questions. That's where you start. Look
Yes.
for the answers to the questions you have, because as you look for your own answers, like, so in this season you might be like, I guess a better example, just to keep it relevant, in the 30th anniversary, let's say we have a bunch of Xur stuff. You might be like, who the hell actually is Xur? And
Yeah.
then it's like, oh, so you find out about the nine, and then you're like, but what are the nine? So then you find out that there are these like dark matter rings made of dust orbiting the planets, and they exist because we exist. And then you'll learn about the emissary, and you'll be like, okay, but who is she? And every answer you go to find will only get you more questions, which
Yes.
gives you more things, more
Yes.
answers to find. And it just spreads out farther,
And then
farther, and
and then
farther.
you realize the whole goal was ayat. And when you understand that word ayat, you start to realize, oh, the whole point was to make me question and seek out answers. So
So
the the overall story in Destiny's story is to make you hunger, just like the Drifter,
yeah.
inevitably.
And so the biggest thing, and I can't say this enough, the biggest thing is when you start like looking for answers and start forming opinions, if you were to like put out that opinion and you have anyone who's like, I don't think that's right, whether they're nice about it or they're mean about it, like hold to your opinion, but also be prepared to be wrong. We are
Yeah.
wrong all the
All,
time, and you need to be able to be like, you know what? No, you make a really good point. You provided evidence that disproves the opinion I held, and now I'm going to be smarter because I've learned from you. And then eventually, given time, there will be that time where hopefully the other person will go, you know what? No, you are right now, and I'm
yeah.
now smarter. And then everyone is smarter.
And I
Everyone
say
knows
this,
more.
all the time. Power. The reason why they say knowledge is power is not because it's held.
Yeah,
No, knowledge is power when it's shared. And so
exactly.
the more you can share knowledge, the more power you have over your own agency and what's going on in the game, as well as your own informed, whatever, understanding. So do that. Whatever you think, even if it's the most crazy thing you've ever thought, like that the marathon man is just Master Chief and your guardian in the game, or Pahanin.
Okay, but see, that's what that's you do shit like that, man. There are things where people will just say like the most outlandish thing, and it's fun to say outlandish things. I love saying outlandish things, but please, like, don't make. You have to be careful.
I know.
You can't create a conclusion and then go looking to prove that conclusion, because that's only going to make you wrong. It's not going
Yeah.
to make you right.
Uh,
Uh, and so the great thing about Destiny is that you'll learn that seemingly unconnected things are actually connected. Like, even if it's you have group A over here and group Z over here, and they have no connection whatsoever, you'll find that there's a whole bunch of things that actually connect them together in between. You know, they might not be connected directly, but they're connected indirectly.
Yeah. And
And
don't and the other thing to that is don't be overwhelmed. Just
yeah,
don't seek out things that you truly aren't interested in. That's
yeah.
where I would basically say if you want to know where to start in the lore, find something that you're really interested in and then
Hmm.
just learn about it.
Yeah.
Because if you actually care about learning it, then you're going to you're going to enjoy it. If you don't care, don't waste your time. Please do not waste your time. I mean, you
And
only have so much of it.
and actually, just to stay sidetracked for one last bit, when you are searching, Ishtar is insanely
Yes.
useful for searching. Many of the things that I pulled up right now, I found just by searching keywords. I was like, okay,
Keywords.
so
Yeah.
I know Drifter, I know Emissary, and I
You
found that
have to
prophecy
know how to
transcript, and I was
spell
like,
it.
there we go.
You have to know how to spell it, though.
Yes, this
It's not a
this
Google search.
the search
You have to
function.
know exactly how to spell it.
Yeah. Is there an apostrophe? You better have that apostrophe. It can't be caps. No caps. Oh, sometimes caps.
Uh, yeah, if it's plural, if it shows ownership,
Yeah.
hmm, boy, I tell you what.
And that one that I just brought up about the drifter talking to the nine and how they were like radiating his brain and everything. I
Yeah.
found that by searching nine steak. Because I
It's
just
the one
remembered
thing
that
that's
line.
yeah, yeah,
That was
yeah,
all I
yeah.
needed. I
I
searched
do
nine
that all
steak.
the
I got
time.
it.
I do that
Boom,
all the
there it
time.
is.
You know what's funny? You bring that up is the writers from Bungie even acknowledge that they use Ishtar
Yeah,
in their
it's
own
great.
way on Twitter. So like it's an invaluable resource that the community created. And Baxter, definitely go give him a follow.
He should be
He's on
here.
Twitter. He should be here.
He's a
Yeah,
part of this
he's
team. You don't see him, but he is a part of this team.
yeah he's our one of the 3 9 that's not here with us right now.
Yeah, he's one of the three of us.
Yeah. So yeah,
So our last little bit here, and as I was saying, things are connected even if you don't think they're connected.
yeah.
So we were talking about Orin, and we didn't want to overwhelm you, so we didn't talk about her past names. One of her past names is Nasia, and so in the book Dust, the final entry, the witch, we have Lavinia, as we said before, the cryptarch who was going out searching for the nine. She's like going through this like portal, and everything's going crazy, and oh my god, says I'm sorry.
Yep. Go into the portal.
Sorry about that. I saw that because I don't see it if it's in the Discord. I have to do that to see.
Oops.
So crap. So portal is Nasia says, "Come." The voice calls. "I'm Nasia. You are safe. Come with me." Not safe. No, of course she's not safe because there are factions among the nine. One faction sent Zur and Orin to study the Guardians in the Light, to seek the secret of effect without cause, and to protect the source of that secret, the last source now that the Ahamkara are gone. Those five played at alchemy with Cocytus gates, turning dark dust into energy and then into matter, but they could not unlock the secrets of our mad existence. They needed ambassadors, go-betweeners. The other faction walks a different path, the path that folds and needles slipped through space-time itself, existential syringes yielding new spaces to be remade as the nine desire. They have tried to
Boom.
gather enough dark dust in one place to form a black hole and found it difficult. When the dark mass collapses in gravity's fist, the dust passes through itself and scatters. But difficult is not impossible, and there is far, far more dark matter in the universe than bright. They will find a way to make new worlds of it. They will end their dependence on life and the light of guardians, which the falling veil soon will snuff out forever. Falling veil being the darkness in theory. In passing, Lavinia sees that the entire history of the Queen's interactions with the Nine, more than anyone suspected and more vital. She sees how the Nine blinded Guardians to Gaul's approach, risking everything, for Gaul would have destroyed the sun and the Nine with it to learn how to steal the light. She sees how the one was punished. "Come," Nasia calls urgently. "Come with me. Come quickly before." Something dark and hypodermic pierces the void beneath Lavinia, and she slurps her down, pulls her through the proboscis so tiny that it breaks her apart into a stream of single particles. One after another, she is annihilated and reborn somewhere, somewhen, made of flesh again, shaking and dripping, fierce sweat mewling like a little baby. Her cheek presses against the warm wooden floor. There's a fireplace, and in the fire, a strong wind outside that sucks at the flames. The clever looking old lady at the desk looks up. "Ah," she says, "Lavinia, you've made it." "What?" Lavinia gasps. "What?" She smiles as if Lavinia's confusion is the sweetest greeting she's ever heard. "Don't be afraid. You've come to exactly the right place." "Where?" "Some place you're appreciated. Where we can really use everything you've learned," the old lady purrs in a thin stream of tea into a cup of bone. "Didn't I tell you that? You were lucky when you were born." And so all the way at the first century, there's a single line that says Lavinia's mother told her that on the day of her birth, a witch pronounced her lucky.
Boom.
That witch, yeah, that cup of bone, you can go on Ishtar and you can search cup of bone, I'm pretty sure,
Yep.
and
The
you'll
cup of
find
bone with
ties to
poison.
Savathun.
Yeah.
So keyword cup of bone. Let's see. I'm not finding it. It's a good attempt. But either way, so Lavinia is now connecting Orin, Nasia, the Queen, Savathun, the Nine, Zur, like all these little tendrils are now all connected.
Nice little bow.
Yep. And hopefully in the 9 days, we will learn more about all of that. In the 30th anniversary, where we get the Dares of Eternity, and also the dungeon that begins in the old Cosmodrome's loot cave from Destiny 1.
And Zoro will be there, maybe.
And Zur will be somewhere. He was on the banner art for the Dares of Eternity. He was like back hiding in the cave. So maybe he's gonna be like the vendor. He'll be like a
Yeah,
static vendor for the Dares of Eternity's
that would be
exclusive
great.
currency. Our next show, because we got to wrap, our next show will be on December 12th, which is
Number
the
12th.
week after the 30th anniversary. If anything new and exciting happens, we're probably going to talk about it. We might just talk about our impressions about the dungeon and stuff. So we don't exactly know exactly what we're going to talk about. But if you want to find out more, if you want to keep up to date on us, we are on Twitter at Loose Canon Show, as it is spelled down there, Canon. Canon. Not there's it's not Cannon because
It's a pun.
it's a pun. And we only tweet about the show going live and topics like that if we're delayed. So really, if you set us to notifications, you get like 3 notifications a week, and it's always the weekend of our show, and it just reminds you to come hang out. And we hope you
I'm
do.
participating.
If you came late and you want to find us in audio, we are on audio. We're on YouTube. We're on everywhere: Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, Apple, Google, etc. Loose Cannon Show. You can find us there. And if you're having trouble finding us because search functions suck, on our Twitter, our pinned tweet is a link tree which has all of our information in it. So like if you struggle to find, I'll actually go to it now so you can see it because I've never done this before. So here it is, our link tree. Look at that. We got the one with the tweets, the one with the show, the one with the music, the one with the fruit, the one with the browser, the one with the tube, the one with the host, the one with the stitches, and the one about beans. It's where all the podcasts are.
There you are.
I'm very proud of those names. I don't think anyone sees them. All right, so that's gonna be our show for this week. We hope you've had a good time. We had a great time.
Thanks,
Bye,
guys.
everybody.
Bye.